From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxton Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the afternoon session of the June 4th meeting. Board to reconvene. Roll call is the first item.
Supervisor Gleason.
Here. Here.
Supervisor Scrivener.
Here.
Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Here.
Next item is a report on actions taken in closed session. Ms. Rezan.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Couch. Board members, as you know, you met in closed session following this morning's meeting, and you considered items 61, 62, 63, 64, and 65. There is no reportable action.
Thank you. The next item is the consent agenda for the Board of Supervisors. I'll tell you what is on today's consent agenda for the board. Starts on page 2. We'll start only item 5 on page 2. On page 3 of the afternoon agenda, it's all the items 6 through 9. Continues to page 4, all the items 10 through 16. Page 5, all the items 17 through 24. There is one change I need to read into the record, and it's on item 17. In the all caps portion of that, which is the recommended action, third line down after the word approve, we need to insert authorized chairman to sign. Is that adequate, Madam Clerk? Okay. On page 6, all the items 25 through 33. On page 7, item 34, and then 36 through 40. And page 8, items 41 through 46. We can act on those all in one motion. Is there anyone here that would like to make any item on any of those? Yes, Mr. Knipp, please come forward. You want to pull any item for separate consideration? That'll take an action by the board. Or if you just would like to make a comment about any particular item, you could do that now. Which would you prefer?
Well, I'd like to do both, actually, I suppose. If you're going to approve it no matter what I say, then I guess I'd rather have you.
I didn't say that.
I guess I'd rather have it taken from the agenda.
I simply asked a question. Would you like to have the item pulled? I'll leave that to the members of the board. Or if they won't do that, then you have an opportunity to make any public comment you would like to do. What would you like to do?
I guess pull the item. Item number 28, the one on AB 40.
Item number 28.
I will have a chance to make a comment, right?
If that item is pulled, we will hear it for separate consideration, and we will have a public comment period for that. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
good. Thank you.
Well, would anyone like to pull that item for separate consideration? Sure. I'll have it. We'll remove it for separate consideration. So we'll hear item 28 in its normal listed sequence. Anyone else here like to make a request to pull any item for separate consideration or make a comment about any item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I return to the board for questions, comments, or action on the consent agenda. And the motion should include to adjourn as the Board of Supervisors and reconvene as the Kern Sanitation Authority.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. We're now sitting as the Kern Sanitation Authority, and we have one item on the consent agenda, which is item 1 on page 2, and I need to make a read into the record that we have a change on that. It's the same one we made before. On the third line down in all caps, which is the approved or the recommended action, after the word approve, we need to insert authorized chairman to sign. And with that, is there anyone here that would like to make a comment on the consent agenda for the Kern Sanitation Authority? Or ask that item be removed for separate consideration? Seeing none, I'll return to the board for a motion on the consent calendar for the Kern Sanitation Authority and to adjourn as the Kern Sanitation Authority and reconvene as the Board of Supervisors.
Motion.
You have a motion?
Second.
And a second, please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. That takes us to item 2, which is public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on Matters that are not on the agenda but are under the jurisdiction of the board. Is there anyone here that would like to make a public presentation? Seeing none, I'll go to item 3, which is board member announcements and reports. Seeing none, we'll go to item 4. We're going to take item 28 in its normally listed sequence, so we'll get to that. I believe we'll do that after item 4 is heard, Mr. Knapp. Item 4 is a request for a letter of support from the Kern County Public Works Department for Keep America Beautiful, for a Keep America Beautiful application. Mr. Pope.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The item before you is a request for a letter of support from your board in our effort to affiliate with the Keep America Beautiful. Keep America Beautiful is an organization that works with local communities to help reduce littering, improve recycling efforts, and to beautify communities. Currently, our team, our Public Works, has many different efforts that it's putting forward. First, it's the Rapid Team. We keep Kern clean, keep Kern roads clean, which is also our Adopt a Road. Our Rapid Team, removing and preventing illegal dumping, has removed 354 tons of illegally dumped trash from Kern County Road right-of-way since January of this year. That's only in 5 months. The Rapid Team also has removed 486 illegally dumped mattresses. Kern County is able to recycle these mattresses, not reuse, but recycle. And 97% of these collected mattresses were recycled. When you guys call, when the Board of Supervisors call or we get a complaint from the public, we send out our Rapid Team. Those are our staff. They have equipment to handle this. They've been trained to handle it. And they go and pick this stuff up and dispose of it properly. In addition to the Rapid program, Public Works also partners with community groups to tackle illegal dumping throughout Kern County. They move on to private property. We can't move on private property with our Rapid Team, but community events do. 35 tons of illegally dumped trash was collected last year through 14 community cleanups. Here you see photos of the Boron cleanup we held this April and Rexland Acres cleanup in January. Kern County maintains 3,300 miles of roads, and we have help from our community in keeping those roads clean through our Keep Kern Roads Clean. 128 permits have been issued through our Adopt a Road program with these groups and helping to clean up more than 300 miles of road. Last year, Public Works hosted 8 bulky waste collection events, including one in the fall and spring in the city of Bakersfield. At those events, over 300 tons of waste were diverted from the landfill through recycling and reuse, and only 9.33 tons of trash were landfilled. A big effort, not just to throw things away, but to divert them from the landfill also. Public Works educates youth, families, and community members through interactive and hands-on demonstrations at community events. These demonstrations focus on recycling education and are always adapting to new recycling standards. The affiliate program developed by Keep America Beautiful, Inc. will assist in growing our current efforts towards educating our community about littering behavior, waste handling, beautification, and enhancing community appearance and economic development. With Kern County affiliation with Keep America Beautiful, we will be working side by side with current efforts of Keep Bakersfield Beautiful, as well as allowing us to provide assistance to other cities throughout Kern County. I appreciate your board's consideration of our request for a letter of support and would answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Pope. Is there anyone here that would like to make a comment on this presentation? Mr. Scott, please.
Good afternoon, Chairman Couch, Supervisors, Ray Scott, Price Disposal, also President of the Board for Keep California Beautiful. Keep Kern County Beautiful would be only the second county in California to have an affiliation. And one of the great things about affiliation is that I get to, along with your staff, talk about the great things of Kern County, what you've already have been doing, but now with an affiliation, it now goes to a national level where, as per se, Keep Bakersfield Beautiful has obtained 20 national awards in 10 years. They are one of the strongest affiliates for Keep America Beautiful. And I see Kern County doing the same, if not more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Thank you for your involvement in that. By the way, could you come back for just a second? Aren't you the president of Keep California Beautiful? What, I've forgotten what it is.
Yes, sir.
Is that, did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
Shot in the dark. Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here today, and thanks for all you do for us.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Any other comments? Return it to the board for questions, comments, or action. I will make this comment only, and that is that this was a goal that we established a few years ago, the board did, and good things sometimes take time. This one did, but I want to thank you, Mr. Pope, and Ms. Brooks for your work on this, and Michelle Burns-Lusich as well. And Ms. Carter, you're going to be sort of heading this up for us. So Heidi Carter Escudero, I think I got that right as well. Thank you very much, and just return it to the board. You have for a motion, please. A motion by Supervisor Maggard.
Second.
And a second, please cast your votes.
The motion is approved, all ayes.
Thank you very much. Nice job. Next item is 28. I think it is a request to oppose Assembly Bill 40. Mr. Brown, thank you.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good afternoon. This item is to request that your board adopt a position in opposition to AB 40, which would require the California Air Resources Board to develop a comprehensive strategy to ensure the sales of new motor vehicles and light-duty trucks in the state fully transition to zero-emission vehicles, or ZEVs, by 2040. As introduced, AB 40 would require the CARB to develop a strategy by examining data gaps, coordinating with state agencies, assessing barriers to financing, development, and ownership, and identifying regulations that could help ensure market acceptance. The approach of this bill is narrowly focused and fails to incorporate measures that will mitigate the impact on relevant industries. In 2018, the Kern County Planning and Natural Resources Department commissioned the Nadelson Dale Group to evaluate the potential economic and fiscal impacts that a similar bill, AB 1745, would have had on Kern County if the petroleum-powered vehicles were phased out by 2040. The report submitted in your board report as Attachment A concluded that businesses directly impacted by a transition to ZEVs include retail gasoline sales, wholesale gasoline sales, new and used automobile sales, and automobile repair services and part sales. In 2040, these industries are projected to account for close to 7,800 jobs and generate about $318 million in total employee compensation. $318 million in total employee compensation. According to data from the State Board of Equalization, the relevant industries generate approximately $920 million in annual sales in the unincorporated portion of the county. In addition to total business volume, the relevant industries generate approximately $91 million in annual revenue in the county through property taxes, local sales taxes, and the state gasoline tax. By 2040, total county fiscal revenues are projected to reach approximately $109 million annually. The comprehensive strategy proposed under AB 40 lacks an analysis of the spillover effects that will occur in transitioning to all-electric vehicles. This bill should consider that without adequate research and planning on impacted industries, the county's revenue stream detailed above would diminish substantially and significantly impact services provided to Kern County residents. The recommended action, therefore, is for your board to adopt a position in opposition to AB 40 and authorize the chairman to sign correspondence to the appropriate officials.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Knipp?
I'm Dr. Gordon Knipp. I'm the vice chair of the Sierra Club here locally. AB 40 is a priority bill for the Sierra Club. Essentially, AB 40 would require sales of new vehicles to transition to zero emission, likely all electric vehicles by 2040. And I'd just like to point out a couple of things. There are some major benefits for us locally here from this bill. If there's any hope to address our county's abysmal air pollution, we have to cut back on emissions from vehicles. Since electric vehicles, EVs, have no such emissions, this bill would require that to occur, a real plus for the health of Kern County citizens, our community. This bill is an important step forward also in addressing climate change. Of course, we should be addressing the climate crisis if we care at all about not leaving an overheated planet for young people and for next generations. As your own study states, this bill, quote, is not expected to directly impact the oil and gas industry in the county, since, and I'm quoting it, virtually none of the oil produced in Kern County ends up being sold as gasoline in California. The county seems to be bent on not recognizing that the world is going in a different direction. You should know that this bill or something similar will almost certainly become state law in the near future. Instead of stubbornly opposing inevitable change, the county should be trying to get ahead of the curve, thinking of how best to smooth the transition away from automobile exhausts, a transition which will leave a lot of gas stations in a state of urban decay if nothing is done. How could you start to smooth this transition? As we've suggested several times, new gas stations and other appropriate new projects for that matter should be required to include electric vehicle charging stations. Who loses in this scenario? The gas station gets another source of revenue and is protected when gasoline revenue decreases as more and more electric vehicles get on the streets. So a couple of suggestions. First of all, AB 40 is a 2-year bill. There's plenty of time to think about the issues. Don't send this letter at this point. Second, electric cars are the vehicles of the future. Have county staff bring you an EV charging station policy that requires many new projects to install an EV charging stations in appropriate ways. Actually, EVs are not only the vehicles of the future, but they're also the vehicles of the present. I repeat the offer I've made several times, actually, to you, to take you for a ride in my EV, a Chevy Bolt, which is perhaps the best vehicle I've ever owned. You'd be impressed. You might decide that you never want to sit in a long gas station line again. So take me up. I'd be happy to take you for a ride in my EV. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Knipp. Any other comments? Ms. Oviatt.
Lorelei Oviatt, Kern County Planning and Natural Resources Director. I feel compelled to respond to Mr. Knipp's comments that your board has not been on the cutting edge of diversifying the economy of Kern County or addressing the things that are happening in California. I did participate with Mr. Brown in making this recommendation. This is a flawed bill. It is a soundbite bill. It does not address the many, many issues that such a study would bring on particularly our county. Your board provides more renewable energy than any county or any city in California. We provide most of the renewable energy. And I challenged the Sierra Club to get on board with changing the initiative tax policy that does not allow solar projects to pay the appropriate property taxes. We have thousands and thousands of acres now of renewable energy for the rest of California that provides no real property taxes for the services of our 900,000 residents. We have been lobbying Sacramento to put some sort of fee on electricity for these people in Southern and Northern California that could then go to local communities, and I would like to publicly ask the Sierra Club to sign on for that. If they are going to challenge this board that we are not planning for the future, when this board contributes all of the renewable energy for California, then I challenge them that rather than talking about EV chargers at gas stations, which will be part of the general plan update and is a very tiny part of the initiatives that California is bringing forward, perhaps they can get our renewable energy projects to pay the appropriate property taxes and help your board then feel more comfortable with embracing this change. I ask that you continue to oppose this bill as not appropriate for the future financial stability of the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Seeing none, I'll return it to the board for questions, comments, or action.
Motion on staff's recommendation.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. Mr. Knipp, stick around. I'd like to talk to you about taking you up on your offer, but I have some conditions. I think that takes us to the end of our agenda. I just need a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry. Takes us to item 35, which is not the end of the agenda. It's a request to retroactively employ a retired county employee, Deborah Davis. Mr. Alsop.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Brown in my office can handle this item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We're here to request a retroactive employment of a retired county employee, Deborah Davis, to work with the Department of Human Services as a senior human resources manager. She retired from that position this December. State law requires anybody who is coming back as a rehired retiree within 180 days of their retirement date to be agendized for separate consideration before your board. We experienced within that department, the person that was hired to replace her, a medical issue that requires somebody with the skills and expertise and knowledge to handle a workforce the size of our Human Services Department, to come in and help them out in the meantime while their employees is on the mend. So we are requesting that Ms. Davis be brought back retroactive to May 21st of this last month in the Senior Human Resources Manager classification at Step E, which is what she retired at in December. Kern County Employees Retirement Association has approved this request, and so we are asking for your approval as well. It is our recommendation that you do approve it retroactive to May 21st, and she will be allowed to work a maximum of 960 hours in this fiscal year and the next fiscal year, which expires June 30th, 2020. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone here that would like to make a comment on this item? Seeing none, I return it to the board for questions, comments, or action.
Motion.
We have a motion. And a second from Supervisor Magner. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. That takes us to the end of the agenda, and now I need a motion to adjourn to June 11th at 9 a.m.
Motion.
Thank you. Without objection, we're adjourned.